All right, so if you're planning on diving into the tech world, you're going to be hearing about data, a lot. But what people don't always talk about is the system that stops all that data from becoming a total disaster. Today we're getting into DataOps. It's kind of like the hidden operating system that keeps modern data teams from just, completely drowning in their own work. Let's jump in.
So, have you ever been there? Maybe on a school project or an internship where the data is just a complete mess, and you feel like you're spending way more time cleaning it and fixing it than you are actually using it. Yeah, that feeling is pretty universal. And in the professional world, it's a huge problem. I mean, look at this number. It's estimated that data teams waste a whopping 40 to 60% of their time on something called data friction. And that's just a fancy term for maintenance, putting out fires, and fixing stuff that's broken. Think about that. That's almost half their time not spent on building cool things or finding new insights. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack how the really good teams solve this. We'll kick things off with the problem itself. Then we'll define what DataOps actually is, check out the culture and tech that makes it all possible, and then map out the journey from chaos to, optimization. Okay, first up, the modern data problem. You see, as companies start pulling in data from all over the place, things get complicated fast. They get stuck in what we call a complexity trap. Every new data source, every new dashboard, just adds another layer of things that can break, making the whole system fragile and super slow. And this really gets to the heart of it. We all started treating data like this incredibly valuable product, which it is, but we kind of forgot to build the factory to produce it properly. It's like we're still trying to handcraft everything, one piece at a time. And that just doesn't work when you need to scale. You end up with brittle, slow systems, and your teams are just stuck fixing things all day.
Which brings us to the solution, DataOps. And I love this analogy here. Think about it like this. DataOps is the big shift from being a single artisan in a small workshop, carefully handcrafting one piece of furniture, to building a massive, modern factory that pumps out high-quality furniture reliably, day in and day out.
So what is it exactly? Well, DataOps is really a philosophy, a way of working. It takes all the lessons we learned from software development, things like Agile for moving in fast, small steps, and DevOps for automating everything, and applies them to the world of data. The goal is simple: deliver good, reliable data all the time. It's not a tool you can just buy, it's a whole new process.
Now, you've probably heard a bunch of these ops terms, so let's clear up any confusion. If data engineering is the what, actually building the data pipelines, then data ops is the how. It's the playbook for how to do it well. It borrows automation from DevOps, and it delivers the clean, trustworthy data that MLOps, that's machine learning operations, desperately needs to function. Basically, DataOps is the solid foundation that makes everything else work better.
All right, this next section, this is probably the most critical part of the entire thing. You can buy the fanciest tools on the planet, but if you don't have the right team culture, DataOps is just going to fall flat. And honestly, this is the hardest part of the whole transformation. And this quote just perfectly sums up the core idea. Every single piece of logic that touches your data, every query, every transformation script, needs to be treated with the same seriousness as actual application code. That means it needs to be tested, it needs to be reviewed by your peers, and it needs to be saved in version control. No more random scripts on someone's laptop.
And this culture really stands on 4 pillars. First, automate everything. If you find yourself doing a task more than once, just automate it. Second, version control everything. And I mean everything. The code, the infrastructure, even the documentation. Third, you got to shorten those feedback loops. Find mistakes early, in development, not when your boss is looking at a broken report. And finally, and this is huge, you have blameless postmortems. When something breaks, you don't ask who did this. You ask, how did our process let this happen? That creates a safe environment where people can actually learn and improve.
Okay, so we've got the cultural why down. Now let's talk about the technical how. It's time to actually start building our data factory, brick by brick.
So at a really high level, there are 2 main ways to process data. You've got batch processing, which handles big chunks of data on a set schedule, like running a huge report every night at midnight. It's usually simpler, but the data is always a little out of date. Then you have streaming, which processes data in real time, event by event, as it happens. It's definitely more complex, but it's what gives you those instant, up-to-the-second insights. A truly mature DataOps team can handle both.
Now, the data itself flows through this life cycle that, in a good DataOps environment, is almost completely automated. It gets sourced, brought in, transformed into something useful, and then, this is key, it gets tested like crazy. Only if it passes all the tests does it get deployed. Then it's constantly monitored, and finally, it's made discoverable for people to actually use.
The big takeaway here isn't the individual steps, but the fact that this is a repeatable, automated loop.
So, the whole point of putting all this work in, right? The ultimate goal is to completely change how the team functions. You want to move away from constantly being in reactive mode, putting out fires, and move toward being proactive, predictable, and just reliable.
And to do that, you need something called data observability. Think of it as a constant health check for all your data systems. It's way more than just getting an alert when something breaks. It's about deeply understanding the health of your data by always asking 5 key questions. Is our data fresh? Are the values inside it looking normal? Do we have the right amount of data coming in? Has the structure or schema changed unexpectedly? And, maybe most importantly, where did this data come from and where is it going?
This whole process, this journey, can actually be mapped out. Most teams start at level 1, the hero stage. We've all been there, right? It's chaos, and there's that one person, Dave, who is the only one who knows how to fix anything. As teams get better, they move up to level 3, where things like automation and real testing become the norm. But the dream, the real goal, is level 5, a fully optimized, self-healing system where the data pipelines pretty much take care of themselves.
Okay, so here is why this all matters to you. Right now, when you start going into job interviews, knowing this stuff helps you ask smarter questions. It can help you figure out the difference between a team that's actually crushing it versus a team that's just trying to keep its head above water. And trust me, that difference will have a massive impact on your own career, your growth, and just your day-to-day happiness.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. As you start looking for that first big role, try to figure out where a company's data team sits on this maturity spectrum. Are they still in the firefighting stage, or are they building a well-oiled factory? The answer to that question could really define the start of your entire career in tech.